Hey guys, trigger warning. In today's episode, we are discussing infertility and miscarriages. So please proceed with caution. If this isn't the episode for you, we totally understand. Protect yourself first, okay? We'll catch you on the next one.
What's up, y'all? I'm PC McCray. You can call me P.
Hey y'all, my name is Shaun the Head. You can call me Shaun the Head. And this is the Everything Has Changed podcast.
From 2 college roommates to 40-something adults, life has been lifing and we want to talk about it.
We are the new adults, y'all.
How did that happen?
I don't know, P, but we got to talk about it.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Hey, Shaun. What up?
Hey, how you doing?
Life is lifing, but we're making it. I praise
Damn,
God
life-
every day. Just,
Life be
just
life.
be with me every second, every minute.
Yes.
Yep.
Prayers going up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Prayers
How are
going
you?
up. I'm doing all right. We just celebrated Teague's birthday yesterday, so she's now a fully fledged 6-year-old. Okay.
Happy birthday, Teags.
She's 6 years old, and she is 4 feet 2 inches, which is exactly 1 foot shorter than me. And I want to know what the hell's going on.
Uh-oh. Teague's gonna outgrow you.
By a lot. She could outgrow me by a lot. But she's doing good. She had a really great day, and
Yay.
she clearly knows. She knew it was her birthday too, which we just never know. We just never know, and she can't tell her. But it was very clear to everybody, even like up at her center and everything. Everybody's like, she really knows her birthday. Like, she made us turn on the Blues Clues birthday episode, and she made us rewatch it over and over and over.
Yes, ma'am.
And
it's my birthday.
It's my birthday, and she could not sleep the night before either. It was like a kid waiting on Christmas. She was up early, so she had a great day. So I'm now the mom of a 6-year-old. Heaven help me.
That warms my heart. She knows. Teagan knows who she is. Yes, ma'am.
She does.
Happy birthday, sweetheart.
She does. And it's crazy because I was trying to remember the other day, because I had this whole like infertility journey that I went on before I had Teagues. And I remember that oh my goodness, I cannot remember the prayer that I prayed. But I know for some years I was praying a prayer just about my ability, to have a child or children.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they tell you pray on it and put it out. This is what I'm believing for. Okay. And so when I would say my nightly prayers, I had I do remember that I had almost like a memorized list. Okay, you praying for this person. These are the people I pray for, and then these are the things that I pray for, and these are the things I asked God to cover for. And so I had a whole spiel that I would do. And I remember on my list, it was thanking God for my child and thanking God for my children. So it was like speaking as if it were already done. But it was so many years ago that now when I try to think, because when you got to set up prayer or whatever, it come to you like boom, boom, bam, bop, bam. Okay, like, it's like affirmations even, the same kind of thing. You memorize them, you say them in the same order. It's interesting to me now that it was like a whole different part of my life that I can't, sometimes it's like a blur to me now. So it's just interesting how life does that. But yeah, girl, it's crazy. I got a 6-year-old walking around here because I just knew for sure that it was not going to happen. And now it's a 6-year-old staring me in the face every day.
Well, what made you think it wasn't going to happen? Like, did the doctors tell you that you would not conceive?
Yes and no.
Okay.
On the one hand, for some reason, once you start thinking about having kids, so not like in high school or college, but after that, I just got the idea in my head. I was like, I don't think I can have kids. I don't know why I thought that. I have no idea. Ain't nobody told me that, nothing. But I remember thinking that. So even to the point where I said to my friends, I said that to them. But I wasn't concerned at times because I wasn't trying to have kids either. But it was just something like, I don't know. It's like, what if I don't have kids? Like, what if I'm not able to? It was just something I always thought about. So that was just something in me that I would think about. But once things started happening, I was told that I wouldn't be able to conceive. What's funny is you grow up, high school and up, whenever, people start doing the do. And you do everything in your power, okay, to try not to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then you get to the age or you get to the life situation where you now want to have a child, and then you find out you got complications. And you're like, wait a minute. Somebody should have told me back then that either you don't got to worry about it or, you know what I'm saying? And it's interesting, though. One thing I will say is a lot of times we don't find out these things until we're trying or something happens. And I think maybe a lot of young adult women, if it were me, if I would do it all over again, I would start looking into those things earlier just so I know what's going on with my body, because there were things going on with me that I didn't know was going on until I cared that they were going on. And now it's either too late or it's a really hard thing to tackle, or now you have to do IVF and all these things that take time and money, and then the hormone stuff that you have to go through. Like, it's a really, really hard process. So if I could do anything back over again, I would start checking stuff earlier. It's so easy to even get your eggs checked. It's literally a blood test.
Wow.
They take some blood, and then the doctor will call you and say, oh, your eggs look good. Or, you're 30. Your eggs look like they 30. They can tell you those things, and it's just a blood test that your gynecologist can do. I didn't know that. I didn't know any of the stuff that I know now. I only know this stuff now because I went through this. And people don't talk about it as much. Like, I guarantee you in the group chat, I guarantee somebody in that group chat that had a miscarriage or two, and they just ain't said it out loud. Or, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a doctor, so take this with a grain of salt. Yeah, I can just only tell you my experience. But I learned that first pregnancies being miscarried, commonly, we'll say it like that, because your body is not used to, there's something foreign going on here now, and they want to push it out. And so what that looks like then is a chemical pregnancy. And what a chemical pregnancy then looks like is a late period. So yeah, sometimes when we have a late period, yes, you'll be happy, oh, period came, but you actually may have been pregnant and the body just pushed it out. So that's what a chemical pregnancy is. It shows up like a late period. All these kinds of things, just little tidbits that I learned.
I mean, who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? I think we're just now learning more about freezing eggs and going in and making embryos. And sometimes you can choose if you want a girl or a boy, and you freeze those. But it's just now. I know when we were growing up, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't
Nobody
talked
about
it. And similar to you, I was raised, don't you bring no baby into this house.
Right.
But as soon as I got, I want to say right that spring semester when I was about to graduate from college, my mom was like, if anything happens, I
What
would
she
love
say?
a
It's about
grandchild.
time. She said,
oh,
you can go ahead and get.
Pretty much. And I was like, excuse me? You are the same woman who threatened my existence. And so now that I'm about to graduate, because essentially that means you're about to graduate, you get a job, you can take care of yourself. Like, no, that's not how it happened. Anyway.
Right.
But yeah, her tune changed. And as she grew older, she wanted to be a grandmother. And that's just something that I couldn't do once I had the transplant naturally. And then with her Alzheimer's, she didn't remember why I didn't have any kids. Yeah.
Oh, P. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or she would think I had a kid. Yeah, she was like, "Where's the baby?
Oh,
Where's my grandbaby?" I said, "Well, she's sleeping."
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
she's
I'd have to play
sleeping.
along.
Oh,
I'd have
P.
to play along a few times, but and then I'm not against adopting. I wasn't against adopting. I'm still not. I just think I'm past the
Mm-hmm.
time. I have had took care of my mom, and then now I'm taking care of my dad. I just don't have it.
That's something
I
to
don't.
think about
I
for
don't.
real.
I don't think that's
Yeah, that
fair
capacity. Yeah.
for the child. I don't have the capacity, or as they say at work, the bandwidth. Uh,
Okay.
girl.
Not the Glinda hand.
Oh, Galinda. Um, so as I mentioned in a previous episode, I had to grieve that, and I continue to grieve it. There are moments where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, a little
Yeah.
person that looks like me, or I love all the kids that are in my life, but there are moments, yeah, absolutely, where I'm like, dang, wow. Or what gets me is when the ones who, like you said, you get to the age where you have together, you have the budget, you have your partner, you have it as it's
Yes.
supposed to be, A, B, C, D, and you have these troubles, and you got other folks who could just pop out children like like it's nothing.
Yeah.
How did, like, what?
But good for them. But
God bless.
I do think that when it happens, I'm not gonna say easily because I ain't in nobody's bed. I don't know what y'all doing or how it gets on. But when you either plan to get pregnant and then you get pregnant and then birth the child, or when you, just get pregnant and then you didn't know it was coming and then you birth child, whatever. And if those are your only experiences, I don't think that doesn't do much for our brain for us to realize just how prevalent these problems are because
Mhm.
of how that was not our experience, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so, but again, all these are like things happening to us. So people go through different things, and don't nobody want to, no shade to you because of what your experience was, or no shade to me what my experience was. But
yeah.
it it does, I think, or at least I'll say what I've noticed is it's meant then that people are not aware of the things that go on in most of our bodies if that wasn't their exact experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then it's like a whole world of things
It's
that
so
are going
much.
on, and stuff is not as easy as you would think, but then that also takes you to, so when something does happen to you, say you have a miscarriage, then we beat up on ourselves because we think, but everybody else has it so easy, and that's just that's not the truth. But
It's
people
not
aren't
true.
talking about it.
Yeah.
People aren't talking about it because they don't want their friends who didn't have that experience to feel away, or because they don't want to relive that or talk about
Right.
it.
It's too painful.
It's so many different reasons. So but none of this is that abnormal.
Mhm.
Any of it. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't make it easier, of course, to hear that. But also, I found some of my friends, when they were really focusing on, like, actively trying to get pregnant, it just was not happening. And then
Yeah.
the doctor or the therapist is like, let it go. Think of something else. Get active, get another hobby. Y'all stop trying, like, that scheduled, literally trying. Let it
Yeah.
go. Stop focusing on that. And then it, boom, like maybe 6 months later, it happened naturally. So sometimes it's like, because that, I think, again, we're not doctors, but our brain and our bodies our emotions are all entangled. So if you're feeling all of that anxiety and stress and you're putting that pressure on yourself, that's your body kind of tightening up. If that's what you're constantly thinking about and praying on. And so if you still pray, but if you find something that just allows your body to just be, then hey, one day y'all, you and Boo out and about, and then oops,
You and Boo.
here comes a little person out
Well,
the blue.
P, that is exactly what happened to me.
Really?
That is, yeah, pretty much. Like, that is how T came about. It was, we had stopped trying. And 30 days later, I was pregnant.
30 days.
30 days. So, here's what happened.
Break it down. Let me get my
I'm trying to,
popcorn.
get your popcorn, pour some wine.
Girl.
Okay. I first of all, no, I'm not married. Okay. So
But it's
sorry. I'm not
it's a
married.
different
So okay.
time.
Now, next point. But the thing about it was I never really thought about having kids beforehand. Because again, in my head, I was like, I probably think maybe I can't have kids. Okay. And so I wasn't thinking about marriage. I wasn't thinking about having kids, none of that. And I ended up, me and my boyfriend, same guy with the Teagan daddy. But 2016, 2017 was about when I started having all these issues. So I ended up pregnant. I had no idea. I cried. Then I felt bad for crying because you're an adult, okay? So you ain't got to cry when you find out you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And then and I remember we had like a day of shock and then we moved forward. Now I was on blood pressure medication at the time. I had to immediately get off that blood pressure medication because the kind I was on causes birth defects, right? It's similar to like one of your medications you were talking about. It's one of those things they say you ain't taking this if you're pregnant or if you're trying to get pregnant. They're like, no.
Yes.
So I did like a walk-in with my PCP at the time. She sent me a referral to a doctor. I called them and they was like, oh, she doesn't deliver anymore. She stopped delivering a couple months ago. I was like, Dad, okay. So then I got another referral. This lady that I ended up with was trash. Okay, I'll just say that. Wow. She was trash. But that being said, I started spotting one day and, mommy's not here, right? So it's me, my boyfriend, Granny. Granny don't know. So we called his mom and I get on the phone with her and I was like, I don't know. Should I go to the hospital to check or should I not? Because I do know that women spot, during pregnancy. I don't know how big of a deal it is. And so I ended up, we decided that I was going to go to the hospital. His mama came over to sit with Granny. Me and him went to the hospital. And I do remember it was Father's Day because we were sitting in the ER. And you know how people, when it's a holiday, people walk by and they greet you like, Happy Mother's Day, Happy Father's Day. And, you might not be a mom, but you be like, okay, thank you, and keep it moving. I don't even got to have a conversation with you.
Right.
So it was a man walking around just telling everybody Happy Father's Day. And he leaned over to Charlie. He said, you a dad? And Charlie then pointed to me and he was like, soon to be, right? And so the man was like, oh, congratulations, Happy Father's Day. So he's like, well, Happy Father's Day to you, blah, blah, blah. I went in there, I got the ultrasound, and they was like, oh, did you know you have fibroids? That's where the bleeding is coming from. You have fibroids. You didn't know that? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. I didn't know I had fibroids. Like, and maybe because I'm overweight or whatever, but whenever you know how they fill you up at your exam, she'll never say nothing. Like, okay, I didn't know I had fibroids. They were like, yeah, you have fibroids. That's where the bleeding is coming from. Go on about your business. So I went on about my business. The next day, I miscarried. And it was painful. I don't think people don't talk about this. It was very painful because basically you're contracting. And it's pushing whatever you have in your body out. So then I had to call back. I had to call to the OBGYN. And they had to tell me, what kind of pain medicine I could take. Because when you're pregnant, you can't take all the pain medications. But then we didn't know my body was fully miscarrying or what was happening. So I could still only take certain pain medicines. So she was like, come in tomorrow. And then also when y'all about to learn everything. So when you're miscarrying, you have to wear pads and not tampons because the tissue, everything has to come out. And it can take days. It can take hours. What you hear from a lot of people, like the whole thing with the abortion bans and stuff, is that when you are miscarrying, oftentimes they will give you medicine and things to help you push it out. Because they asked me, they said, do you want us to give you something to help push it out? And I was like, no, I should have said yes. This is my first time pregnant. This is my first, this is everything. So I was like, no. And so that it took a very long time for everything to come on out and go its own way. Whereas if I had taken the medicine from them, then it would have still been painful because it forces you everything to open and push out. And so, but that's what, with the abortion ban stuff, that's what people aren't understanding. That is why women who are miscarrying will end up having the same things happen to them as women who are needing to get abortions, because the same medications and stuff are the things that they're giving you when it's determined that it's no longer viable. When it's no longer viable, it has to come out of you because it's now toxic in your body.
Yeah,
it will make you sick. You'll become septic, all of those things. So you have to get it out of you. And abortion is actually, it's something called a D&C that they give you when you miscarry, which is, it's literally the same. It's a miscarriage on your hospital paperwork. If you go into the hospital from having miscarriage, it's going to say spontaneous abortion. It's all the same medically. It's just like, did you choose for this to happen, or is this happening to you? It don't matter. At that point, we treat you and your body the same. So anyway, I go into the doctor the next day, and I was just so confused and overwhelmed because I just left the hospital. They said I was fine.
Right.
They said some women bleed and you have fibroids, so you're definitely going to bleed. And next thing you know, I'm miscarrying. And the first hours of that were the worst because of the pain. And then you have to keep going to the bathroom. So everything, all that, TMI. So anyway, I get to the OBGYN and she sends me upstairs to get a ultrasound because she didn't have one in her office. So I went upstairs. And I remember this lady, her face is seared in my head. I don't know her name, but if I see her on the street, I'll kick her. Okay. Because she was like, there's no baby in here. And I was like, what? Because we didn't know. This was, again, after that day of everything happening. We didn't know what was going on. And she's like, there's no baby in here. That's how she said it to me. And then she turned the screen so I could see. And I'm like, I'm sorry, are you saying the baby is gone? Like, I was not understanding. And she's like, yes, there's no baby here. Like, what? And then she started questioning me. And I'm like, no, I got sent up here. Okay.
Now I'm starting to get an attitude. Who is she?
And so then she starts talking about my fibroid. And she starts saying, well, you're never going to be able to conceive because those fibroids you got in there. You're never going to be able to conceive. You're never going to naturally carry a baby. Like, she didn't even have to hesitate to say these things. She just was like, boom. And she wasn't like in my face with it, but her tone, there was like no bedside manner. But keep in mind, I didn't know what happened until I got there so they could do an ultrasound to see. Because when I had the ultrasound 48 hours ago, all was well. Okay. When I had an ultrasound now, nothing's there. And she's talking to me as if I knew all this. And I'm like, you're giving me brand new information. You need to give me a second. Well, she's like, you're never going to conceive because of the fibroids. And how old are you? Oh, you finna be 35? Because I must have been 34 at the time. You finna be 35? You need to have the surgery to get the fibroids out. Let me go ahead and schedule you to have the surgery. Get the fuck out of my face. Yes, she tried to schedule me for surgery the same day. And she was talking to me as if I had came in because maybe I was trying to end the pregnancy. I was like, because she's like, do you want to be? She literally asked me, she said, do you want to be pregnant? Do you want to be pregnant? Because if you want to be pregnant, then these fibroids got to go in XYZ. And I said to her, you speaking to me as if I came here for abortion. I didn't. You literally just told me I had a miscarriage. And now you're trying to push me into surgery. Bye. I get up and I leave. I go back downstairs to my doctor and told her what happened. She's like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Oh no, all these things. And so I left her alone. I ended up, there's more to do with that doctor, but she ain't really part of the story. So I left her alone. But the thing about that is I didn't really know how much I wanted to have a child until that happened.
Hey friends, we're just getting this podcast going and we're so thankful for your support. If you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode or when we drop some of the special things we've got coming, head on over to everythinghachangedpodcast.com and drop us your email so you can stay locked in. Cool? Cool.
So now we looking at each other like, because, you know, as soon as you find out, like, immediately you go into, okay, what do we have to do? We have to move? Do we have enough room? Do we need a crib? Like, who's going to babysit? Like you made all. So over the course of a few weeks, which is about how long I knew I was pregnant, all that stuff had been talked about and everything. So we was like, well, I guess we just gonna try it in. And what's funny is, to back up, when mommy died, Granny came and stayed with us about 3-4 weeks, just to help me take care of everything and close stuff out and stuff. And this was before I knew anything. She was acting cool, calm, collected. I had no idea she was about to have a battle with dementia. She tried to get us she tried to convince us to get married at the courthouse. And then she wanted it to happen before she went back to Mississippi. So we had like 30 days and we was like, Granny, no. I love you, but no. And he was like, we can get a dog. If you want, we can get a dog. So, but no, so anyway, sidebar, you know, Shonda on a tangent. So what we ended up doing was we ended up trying. And I had 3 miscarriages over the course of 2 years. And I was in the forums, I was in the communities and trying to conceive communities. I was waking up every morning taking my temperature, because you got to take your temperature, but you got to take it before you get out the bed, because you have to know your basal temperature, which is before you get up and start moving. So as soon as you open your eyes, you reach over, take your temp. Then you gotta put that in the app, or you write it down, whatever, and you do that so that you know when you're ovulating. And then you gotta have the yeah. It's so many different things, right, that you have to do to try. And yeah, we had 3 miscarriages, and one of them did not leave my body the way it was supposed to. Like, the first one was very long. I want to say it took like a month before, because what they do is they test you every 2 days. You have to go back and they will draw your blood and test the hormone, the pregnancy hormone. And so if the miscarriage, you know, is going on its merry way, the number will go back to normal. And so it took me about a month for my numbers to go back to normal after the first one. A month. Everybody's different. But it's the same as when you're pregnant. So you're basically also going to have a period for a while after, because everything has to come out. Third one was the one that didn't leave my body. And the thing about that was, a therapist gave me a referral to her doctor. She was like, you be having too many problems. People be giving you too many problems. Here go my girl. No. Yeah, here go she a black lady, you know. And I went over there to her. Oh, I loved her so much. Yeah. And that's the one. She was like, oh, well, let's test your egg. Let's draw your blood. Let's see what your eggs look like. Let's test all your hormones. Let's do all this. I was like, nobody has ever gave me that option before. I didn't know. She did all the things. Finally, I get pregnant. She was on spring break or something. She was out of town for the week. And I didn't know that the doctor that sees you when you come in for your pregnancy test is going to be your doctor. So when they told me that she wasn't there because she was on vacay for the week, I still made an appointment with the nurse in order to, you know, you come in, you get the pregnancy test, and then they set you up. I did the test with the nurse. She sent me in to talk to this white lady doctor. I get in there with her, and she's like, oh, congratulations, you're pregnant, blah, 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 blah. This lady is now my doctor. Not my doctor. This lady was now my doctor. I didn't know that the person who does your pregnancy test is going to be the doctor. So when my lady come back, I'm trying to get in, and she's like, she was so sorry about it, but also it was like the rules of not the clinic, of the practice.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I wanted you. Like, I sought you out, right? my doctor was the only Black lady at that practice. She's the only Black person at that practice. It was like 5 or 6 people. She's the only Black person. She was wonderful. Now I end up with this lady, and I start miscarrying.
Oh.
And I asked the doctor, well, can you test me for this? Can you test me for that? Or can you do XYZ? And she's like, no, you're miscarrying. That's it. It's over. I broke down. And whenever my anxiety goes to shit, because I have generalized anxiety disorder, it's always around health issues. Because I always end up with somebody on some BS. This lady, the doctor wouldn't even talk to me, nothing. She wouldn't. Okay, so after it's over, can we then go and look and see what the issues? None of that. She's like, no, it's not viable. And so then I have to still go in now every 2 days to check that the hormone is going down, and it was not going down. So then I get sent to the hospital to take the shot. It's not even a shot. It's more IV of methotrexate, which is what they use to help push stuff out of your body. But also nobody told me that it's chemotherapy.
What?
So you have now yes, it is a chemotherapy drug. And my new doctor, did not tell me that. She sent me to the hospital, made the appointment for me. I go there. You have to lay in there on the IV. IV might take close to an hour, whatever, to go through you. Then they want you to wait there just to make sure your body don't have no reaction. So I'm in there for let's say 3 hours. Now I have my own room or whatever, but my boyfriend's at work. They come in to have me sign the paperwork. They're like, okay, so you don't have to sign off. And I'm like, why does it say this is like a chemotherapy drug? And the nurse was like, you didn't know that? They didn't tell you? I said, no, they didn't tell me. And my mom died of cancer. So now you're finna tell me I'm about to put a chemotherapy. Like, I didn't have any time to process anything.
What?
So now I'm in the room crying, but still have to get the IV because I had let it stay too long. I wanted to do things a natural way, and now I was, my body was starting to react. So, yes, girl, when you're in these medical situations and you don't have, yes, you can advocate for yourself, but it was after all this, so I'm like, I'm not gonna feel no kind of way about really being anal and seeking out who I want for my doctor and speaking to them and all this, because they really do be mistreating people up in there. So yeah. So after all this, I'm back to my PCP. And how about she's the one who figured out that I had a thyroid issue? Out of all these OBGYNs, because at this point I had been through like 3 of them. Like, I had a different one for each pregnancy. And I thought the last one was going to be it.
Yeah.
And then I end up with her coworker because she was on vacation that week. So I had a thyroid issue this whole time. I never knew. So this might be helpful to somebody. Your thyroid got 3 numbers. Apparently, when you go to the doctor and they test you, because when you get a certain age, like 30 or whatever, they start testing you for stuff. Just, okay, now you come in. Every time you come in, we're going to test your thyroid. We're going to do whatever. Yeah. They generally will test 1 number. Sometimes 2. Usually 1. But your thyroid has 3 different numbers. My 3rd number was the problem. And it never would have got tested. It didn't get tested. None of those doctors, all the tests that I had been through, and every time you get pregnant, they run a panel of tests, thyroid being one of them, right? Of course, pregnancy hormone being one, thyroid being another. I look back at all my paperwork. It's on there, but they only ran 1 number. My problem was the 3rd number, and my PCP caught it. Because she was like, okay, we're going to run thyroid. We're going to do a full panel, so we're going to do all 3. And I think that was just a regular checkup. And that's how we found out I had a thyroid problem.
So, wait. If you're doing lab and doing these checkups with blood, if you're checking for thyroid, why would you not do all three? Why is that not included in the blood work?
Questions that need answers, P. They would run one thyroid number. And I think on one person's paperwork, I saw two. Mine was the third.
Finally. And you've been going to
and
your
it was
PCP.
It was my PCP. She not even my OBGYN, but that's my dog though. Like I got the best PCP in the world. I will say that. But she ran all three. So my PCP was the one who found out I actually have a thyroid problem. If you have thyroid issues, it's going to be hard pressed for you to carry a baby to term. And notice I ain't said nothing about my fibroids at this point. Because honestly, it honestly depends just on where the baby fall. When it get in your womb, where it nestles in and gets cozy, it's gonna stay there for 9 months. It's just luck of the draw if it ends up trying to nestle in on a fibroid or somewhere else, right? So sometimes that's the issue. A lot of times it's not. Plenty of women, especially Black women, get pregnant with fibroids and carry with fibroids and all that. But I knew when that lady told me you can't conceive and you're gonna have to. As soon as she said that to me, I was like, well, that's not true.
That's a lie.
And it wasn't even in a way of me being in denial. Mm-hmm. But she was so wrong with everything. I took nothing that she said as fact. Just because of how wrong she was just trying to book a surgery or whatever the case. But that did hang over me because I kept having miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. And finally I was like, maybe she was right. Maybe she was right. Then I find out my fibroids are actually on the outside, which makes it a whole lot, not gonna say better, but in my situation, that meant that wasn't what was affecting my pregnancies. And it's also why I didn't know I had fibroids. Yeah.
My hand is up, audience.
Yeah. Sorry.
What do you mean your fibroids were on the outside? What is...
Oh, okay. Glad
I don't know. Because I don't... What?
Yeah, so basically, there are, to my knowledge, again, not a doctor, there are 3 different types of fibroids. There are fibroids that are inside your uterus. There are fibroids that are in the walls of your uterus. And then there are fibroids that sit on the outsides of your uterus. Okay. So again, everybody's affected differently. Also, that means that your hormones are affected because whatever goes on in the uterus affects your hormones. But for me, that's why I didn't know I had fibroids, because a lot of times they'll tell you symptoms of fibroids include like heavy periods or really, really painful periods or nausea throughout period. All that stuff. I wasn't ever getting any of that. But for me, that was because my fibroids are on the outside of my uterus and not on the inside. But the way that I figured it out was, again, that doctor that I love, that I got gypped out of having, she did an ultrasound where they put this liquid in. I'm trying to remember, was it an IV or what? I don't know, but it came up as a different color on the ultrasound screen. Mm-hmm. So they could see how deep in the fibroids were. Because on a normal ultrasound, you could see the fibroids, but you can't see are they inside or outside. They have to do this kind of high-tech ultrasound to see.
Like contrast?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
They added contrast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the real word. That's the adult word. Thank you. Yes, I had an ultrasound with contrast so that they could see the actual location of the fibroids, whether they were inside or outside. So I at least knew that. But yeah, PCP found out about my thyroid issue, put me on thyroid medication. I also found out I have PCOS. Some people say PCOS, some people say PCOS, which is a hormone issue. Yeah, It's a hormone issue. I know it's prevalent in our communities. Symptoms might be like extra hair growth. It's a hormone thing. Excessive weight gain. Also, you can't lose weight. Like anything that's a hormone issue, it's not as simple as, exercise and you'll lose it when it's a hormone issue. So I found out from the same doctor that I have PCOS. And then from my PCP, I found out about the thyroid issue. She put me on thyroid medication. And I was on thyroid medication for about 2 months. And I lost weight immediately. I lost 10 pounds immediately. I never knew I had thyroid issue, but I lost 10 pounds immediately. And then we decided to stop trying because there had been 3 miscarriages. It had been like 2 years of that. And then it was just a lot. It was a
That's
lot.
a lot. That's a
It was a lot.
lot.
But we had stopped trying. And within 30 days later, I found out I was pregnant because my thyroid issue was fixed. If somebody had just found out years ago that a bitch had a thyroid issue, maybe something could have went a little different around here.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, and I still got the same PCP to the day. I never let her go. She better not never die. She better not never move. I will go find her, track her down, and bring her back. But
So,
yeah,
message to our audience: go get
yeah,
when you do your lab work, and we are pro health over here. Go get your checkups.
absolutely.
Ask for a thyroid test, all 3 numbers.
Yeah, asking for all 3 numbers because by default, I don't know why, but most
That's
doctors do not do a
insane.
full panel for your thyroid. So my PCP she's the one who told me that. She was like, you need to always get the 3 numbers run. And that 3rd number, I don't know why people don't be looking at the 3rd number, but mine was just all bad. And with the medication, I take 1 pill a day, but with the medication, within like the first 2 months, I had lost weight. It was like immediate changes. Because what it does is it also changes your metabolism. Like my metabolism was nothing. So, but yeah, got pregnant we literally stopped trying and end up pregnant with Teagan. And I went in to another OBGYN.
Oh, another
Because
one.
I love my girl, but I didn't want the same thing to happen again. And then I
Yeah.
found out and also with her practice, whoever is working that day is going to be your doctor,
Who's
child.
going to deliver.
Yeah. So you just need to know these things about the practices that you go to because they all have different, they all have different rules and regulations. And like I said, that particular practice, she was the only Black person on staff, and everybody else besides the white lady who was so rude to me, it was like an old white man. And I have had so many instances now of being mistreated in the medical space that I was like, I can't do it. But I had one of my best friends use this great practice. I went there, and it is also, hey, anybody could be your doctor on that day, but they also rotate you. So every time you go in, you sit with a different doctor. Then they got
you can be introduced to that person somewhat as opposed to the day you're delivering. It's like, well, who are you? I don't think you're all up in my business. I like that. That's smart. You
and
still kind of get attached, but I like that.
Exactly. And it was a very mixed, very diverse staff. And then a Black lady was one of the owners. When I actually had the healthy pregnancy, I was really well taken care of. Yeah. And it was shocking how different it was from my experiences with the last one. And so I walk in, because what are they, not doulas, but what's the other type of midwife? So this practice had all these doctors and all these midwives and all these nurses. I mean, it's a gang of people in there. So when you go in there to get tested, they drew my blood, and I was 6 weeks. And I went in the midwife's office, and she's like, okay, well, you're 6 weeks. Let's get you over in the ultrasound chair. I was like, what? I had never seen an ultrasound of mine, except for the one where the lady was like, ain't no baby in there. Because they're not supposed to show you. The ultrasound tech is not supposed to show. So it really, it depends on who you get. If they turn the camera so you can see, the monitor, or if they tell you what's going on, they're not supposed to talk to you. They're not supposed to tell you anything. Because I end up at this place, they had an ultrasound in-house, because then I found out all of these practices, they don't all have them in-house. I went and sat in the ultrasound, and she was like, hey, it's 6 weeks. It's probably too early to hear a heartbeat or anything, but because you have had this history of all these miscarriages, let's get you in there because you're high risk. Because I was also 35 at the time, or 36. I was 36.
And what do they call it? Geriatric?
It's geriatric pregnancy. 35 and up, girl.
They need to rename that. That is just so.
But then I was also high risk because of the the thyroids and all that. So they gave me a high risk doctor too. So I had to see them and I had to see the high risk doctor. By the time I gave birth, like that last month, I was in both places once a week. I had 2 doctor's appointments a week, basically, until I gave birth. Then I ended up having a C-section. So I really was all the way high risk. But they sat me in a chair at 6 weeks and we heard the heartbeat immediately. And it was like we didn't even try this time. And that heartbeat was fast. She was like,
Teague's letting you know, hey, I'm coming.
Like, yeah,
I'm on the way. Heard you was looking for me.
And she never, because they will measure you every time. They have this thing on the ultrasound where they can measure how long the baby is, whatever. She never got behind, or it was like, it was so different. And then when I think about all the stuff I went through the other ones, I didn't have no spotted. I didn't have anything. Now, the one thing that I did have, now I will say this, my fibroids did start to degenerate. So yeah, you could have a healthy pregnancy with fibroids, but it might get painful. So degenerate means, because the fibroids are just like living in and on your uterus. So the blood supply of your uterus is feeding the fibroids. Okay. When the baby come in, the baby take everything. So the fibroids start to die off and shrink. They will shrink and stuff during your pregnancy. But that's also painful because we're dying off. So it makes your uterus start to contract. So I was having contractions. And I remember one day I had a shoot because I used to be a photographer. I had a shoot. I had to call in and say, I'm not going to make it because I literally can't stand up. Like I was bent over like this. They're literally contractions just like you're giving birth, but it was like over a few days in the span of a week. And, they gave me some medication for it. And that was the only time it happened. So I'm thankful because for some women, it could mean that it kicks them into, early delivery or something. That did not happen with me. But I was around 20 weeks, I think, at the time. But girl, T. Thomas came right on. Teague said, I'm here to stay. But that was crazy.
Oh my gosh, Shaun, you've been through so much. You have had, that is quite a journey. How do you feel now that you have this beautiful 6-year-old Teagan after all of that?
You know what was crazy was, it was actually harder. I had a great I actually love, well, let me not know. Once the morning sickness went away, I had a great pregnancy. Okay. I did have some extensive morning sickness till about 20 weeks. And then after that, I was all right. But it was hard mentally because I was more used to the child going away. And I was not used to getting bigger and bigger and showing and all this. I was used to going through all this stuff without people knowing because I wasn't showing. And I was just more used to things going awry than going well. So it made my anxiety even worse, honestly, just because it's like, I know all the stuff now. I've done all the research. I know all the stats and all the percentages and stuff. That's what makes me feel better is when I start looking up the science and stuff behind stuff and how things work. It just kind of calms my mind. But now that y'all like, oh no, she's coming, I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm not used to this kind of experience. And then of course she came, and then they hand you a child, you get to take her home, and it's like, who let me bring this child? Who did it? Like that first night was crazy. First of all, the first night in the hospital was crazy because she would cry. And I was like, oh, her cry is so tiny. I'm never going to hear her. I'm going to be sleeping. I'm going to oversleep because I won't hear her cry. Lies. She just had not got used to screaming yet. Okay.
She's
by like the second or third day.
Let me warm up my
yeah, she had to warm up her vocal cord. It was, I said, you were so dumb, girl. Like, why would you even say that? And then we got home because we have a dog. So Nala. So we had to, when my boyfriend would come back and forth to the house because his mama was here sitting with Granny. So he took like one of her blankets and brought it to Nala so that when we brought her home, Nala would already recognize her smell. But that first night, when that baby started crying in the middle of the night, Nala tried to break our door down to get in there.
Wait.
I don't know if she was trying to save us or save the child, but she said, somebody is screaming. I need to get in there. She tried to, like, she heard the baby crying in the middle of the night, which is don't happen in our house because we ain't never had no kids. Nala was at the bedroom door trying to get in. I don't know if she thought somebody was hurting us or we was hurting somebody, but
Dog
she was like,
what
let
is
me
that
in.
noise? What is that? That does not happen in this house.
She had to get used to it. But all that to say, you would think that, oh, well, you're carrying this baby to term. That's a good thing, which of course it's a good thing. Mentally, it is nerve-wracking, though. If you've had certain experiences and several of them, it's a new thing. So it was honestly like I was pregnant for the first time, but experiencing the way it's like, I guess, supposed to happen versus how it went down. I just know it was nerve-wracking because I'm like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this. Or it's like every day you wake up and you checking yourself to say, okay, is something happening down there? Because I'm used to something going awry. But what's crazy is I got pregnant again after that. I was pregnant when I turned 4. I was actually pregnant on my 40th birthday. And I didn't know. I found out shortly after my birthday because we had a party, girl. We had a 40th birthday party.
We had a good time.
We had a good time. Okay. It was a 80s and 90s theme. You know, everybody dressed up and had the Adidas hat, the Kangos and tracksuits, all that. But I found out, I think, a couple weeks later that I was pregnant. But my insurance had changed. So I couldn't go back to the last people who took such good care of me. Because they had just stopped carrying some people and they didn't carry mine no more. So I had to find a new one again. So cue the anxiety every time something medical's going on. And I end up having to go find a new doctor, but they won't let you in to see the doctor until you take the test. And, you know, they show you pregnant and all this stuff. By the time I get in, because I'm new, so I can't just walk right in. I have to wait. By the time I get in, not pregnant anymore. Numbers have gone back down. And then they're like not even believing me that I was pregnant to begin with, but I was taking the test at home. So then my PCP, she was like, let's order you an ultrasound. You got fibroids anyway, so we're gonna order you an ultrasound. Go to the hospital, get the ultrasound, and the lady who was in there literally asked me 20 questions about why I was there. And it's like, just get in there and do the ultrasound, man.
Right.
She was questioning me. Well, I see here that you was here on X date and you got an ultrasound then. No shit, Sherlock. I actually gave birth that day too. Of course I got an ultrasound. Like they give you an ultrasound when you're giving birth. What the fuck is like she kept questioning me and I'm like, do you ain't the doctor?
Gatekeeper? Right. Do the ultrasound.
My doctor. You questioning me. And again, this kind of stuff keep happening to me. And I really had blurred that part out because I was trying so hard to get in and get seen. And I couldn't get seen, I guess, in time. So by the time all this going on, I'm just trying to get some answers now to what's going on now, what happened now. So she does the ultrasound or whatever. And then, but the hospital will call you for survey. I was like, yeah, call me. Call me. I'm giving you all the information on this lady. This was her name, all that. Because that's not her place. But for some reason, she looked at me and I don't, like, who the fuck comes in to get random ultrasounds for no reason?
Right.
Like, she was feeling herself that day. But I remember I was in a mood that day because, you know, I had just lost another. Yeah. So that was hard because I thought I had gotten over all those feelings from that experience because I did end up having my child, right?
Yeah, Teagan.
But It was like muscle memory. As soon as things started looking wonky, I immediately went back into, oh, no. It was like I didn't have teeth. I went back years, right back. And I didn't know that was going to happen. I would think, I've grown, I've evolved, but it took me right back there. And so that was hard. And it's always hard, just even outside of pregnancy and stuff. When you feel like you're not being listened to medically, when you feel like you have to do all this searching to find the right person to see you, and then you don't get to see them, or something else happens, or when people feel like they can question all it, like it's just be too, because it's like, hey, if I could, I would do all this shit myself. I absolutely would. This just happened to be one of those things where y'all make us go to, exactly, but I would absolutely do it myself if I could. So, but yeah, girl.
I'll say this. That means Teague is extra special. And she was truly meant to be your baby, and you were meant to be her mom. And each time, I was going to say, when you had the first 2 miscarriages and you had that anxiety building up, I learned this from my cousin. You have to rewrite the story. You have to rewrite the ending. And in that ending, you got Teagan.
Yeah.
And that's the fairy tale. That's the goal. You got your baby girl Teagan. I'm so sorry that, one, you had all those awful encounters with medical professionals. It's not just a statistic.
Yep.
This is real, that women, Black women, deal with this mess all the time. And so I'm glad you advocated for yourself, but wow, Shonda. And for Teagan to turn 6.
Girl.
She's
sitting up there right now with her legs crossed.
Because she's grown. She knows. She knows. What you say, in the womb, she was already giving you a little, she's like, oh, I'm coming.
T came through like gangbusters. That lady was like, oh, you're not going to hear a heartbeat, but let's just get you in there. Everything they said, well, you're probably not going to. They was always wrong. T was always, oh, it's probably going to take, oh, it's probably, nope.
Teagan was like, no, let me tell you.
Not that
I'm
child.
different. You don't know who I am.
That's
and let
it.
me tell
That's
you,
it.
let me introduce myself.
That's
love it. I love it. I love her. I love her. I love you.
P,
it's making me think. I know I'm an only child. And when I got to the age where my mom and I would talk, like every sex, she I remember the first time she kind of caught her breath, and I was like, Mom, I need you. Come on, grow up. Like, well, once we got past it, being respectful still, but I would talk to her and ask, and so I said, were you pregnant before? And she had miscarriage. And I remember, all I remember, and I don't know if this time was with my dad or if it was her, because she was the one that was missing. I just remember being in the lobby and this nurse coming to give me like some crayons and a coloring book. And I'm by myself. And she says, okay, I just remember distinctly, I'm going to take care of your mom, but you just stay here and draw her a picture.
Oh.
I distinctly remember that. And so, you're putting things together, and now I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that maybe was, because I know she said it wasn't for a lack, as she liked to say, and I'd be like, Mom, it wasn't for a lack of trying.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thanks,
my only. Oh, Rita Gail. Yeah. But yeah, I had to think about that. And again, in just her womanhood, I've never been a pregnant person. I've never had any scares or anything, again, because I had the fear of Rita in my in my life. And then just got sick. So it literally was the fear of God as freedom. The time where, okay, I'm like trying to figure myself out. I'm like not thinking about kids. And then meeting that doctor at 28 and saying, do you want to have kids? If so, you need to do it now. And if not, we need to put an IUD in because you can't be pregnant in this process. We can't risk that. So I've had an IUD forever. And even with just because of the medication, and you don't want to have a scare because I have to be on these medications for the rest of my life. Period, point blank. If you want me around,
we want you here.
I gotta take these meds. Okay.
First, okay? You first.
So it is wow. Women, we deal with so much.
Yeah.
And so much.
That's crazy too, because you know how Granny would tell a story, you know, because you ain't never know if Granny telling the truth or not, just because the dementia would just have her. So I remember one of the times I did come in and sit next to her, and because she never knew what was going on, but I said, Granny, you know, I just I had a miscarriage or whatever, however I said it to her. And I remember she looked at me and she said, I couldn't keep a baby either. And I said, what, Granny? I said, you had miscarriages? And she said, yeah. Yeah, more than one. And I think she was telling the truth because mommy was the only child, you know, and that would make sense. Especially too, because also when you go in, they ask you about your mom's history. And I can only say what I knew up until a point. Which now, you know, I wish I would have asked more questions. But I know my mom, both me and my brother were C-sections. But, did you know that mommy didn't know she was pregnant with me?
For how long?
Until she went into labor.
What? She's one of those stories?
Yes. She could have been on the show.
Bopping around with a whole baby inside. What?
I can't believe I forgot to she had been sick that year, really sick, and she lost a lot of weight. So she was starting to gain weight back. So she thought she was gaining weight back. And she thought she was like nauseous and stuff because she already had been because she was sick. She finally ended up having to go in from pain, like stomach pains. And that's how she found out she was pregnant with me. They went in, they had to do emergency C-section. I was born 2 months early. I'm a preemie.
Oh my.
I'm a preemie. I was born 2 months early. She did not know because also her and my dad was basically splitting at this time. She wouldn't have wanted a baby. She didn't want no baby with him no more. So
the way you're laughing about this, I'm
just saying. So yeah, but it's true. Like I was a mistake. But for real, she didn't know. She went to the hospital because of pain, and that's when she found out. No, she was actually like in labor. They were having to do an emergency C-section, and I was born 2 months early.
I am gagged. You hear about these stories all the time. They're like, no, I had no idea that. What do you mean you didn't have that? But circumstances in life. So you think I wasn't eating because I was stressed. I didn't have a period because I was stressed. Like all these things happen.
Right. That's why she didn't have a.
And it's a whole baby in there. Little Shonda's just growing away.
And then you know what? Some women have something called I can't remember what it's called right now, but where your uterus actually leans back instead of
tilted uterus.
And so as they get more and more pregnant, it doesn't look that way. It looks differently on them because of the way their uterus is tilted. I'm not saying she had that. I don't know. Of course, when I really became interested in it, she was not here to tell me anymore. But yeah, girl, that happened. And once she had me, that's when she was like, okay, this man got this man. It's a no.
You're like, don't touch me no more.
I was like the catalyst, I think, for.
So I love my baby, but I hate you.
She said when I came, that's when she was like, we got to do life differently because I got a girl child now. and she can't be coming up in this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, girl, they be asking you, you know, when you're pregnant, they want to know your mom's history, your mom's pregnancy history and stuff. And she's like, yeah, because the first one, the one who was crazy, she's like, yeah, we're going to have this baby naturally, right? No C-sections, right?
Girl.
And I was
If
like,
you
my
don't,
mama and my grandmama both had C-sections. Then
if
she's
you
like,
don't
oh.
get,
I'm like, oh, like, get out of here. I hope she's not still in practice because she was the
I
worst.
hope not either. That is awful.
And I know she was the worst because I have a friend who ended up with her after me.
Oh no.
And we just found out later that it was the same lady. And she was like, oh my God, I wish I had known. I wish you had told me. That lady is bananas.
That is terrible.
Yeah, I hope she's not still practicing because she don't need to be. But it's a lot of people out here doing the medical profession. If you don't have a personality for it, let's say, if anything, can you at least go work in the back? Can you like be in the lab or something?
Right.
Because people be going through real shit. And I know that this is stuff that y'all see all day, every day. So it may or may not be a thing to you. Especially if you work at a hospital, people are coming to you on like their worst day. And you know how people treat everybody the same and all this stuff. And I get that it may be hard not to. You'll never know what somebody's breaking point. Like I had a few breaking points that was brought on by medical professionals that I just went to try to get some help. Which again, if I didn't have to ask for help, I would literally do it myself.
My God.
So now I'm just really diligent about, I go to people and doctors that I've either had experience with, that really close friends have had good experience with. I am always going to be looking for someone, not even of color, because I was sent one time. I went to the emergency place because I couldn't breathe right, and that was the closest place to me. And I was like, I can't breathe. Like there's something going on, and they were like, well, you seem upset. Are you stressed?
I
Yeah, I'm
can't
stressed because
breathe.
I had granny and all this. I had just had a miscarriage. I was like, yes, I'm stressed. And I said, and they said, well, I think you have anxiety. I do have anxiety, but also this is not a panic attack. Like I can't breathe. I walked into my doctor 2 days later. I told her, she listened to me. She gave me antibiotics. I coughed up a lung basically after that. I had a lung infection. And they didn't believe me. They said it was my anxiety kicking in, which they didn't even know I had anxiety when they said that. And these were people of color. Oh no, now no, I'm sorry. I'm just not even going to do it to myself no more. Told me they done sent me home with some Claritin. I had a whole lung infection.
My God.
And my doctor listened to me. She gave me a Z-Pack. And I started coughing up all this stuff that would gross you out if I said, but yeah.
What's your message, another message to our audience as we sign off?
I would just say because we're at the age now, well, people still having babies. So, but just, if it doesn't feel right with your doctor, don't feel like you are like backed into a corner with somebody. Or even if you are, just, I want to say, yes, of course, advocate for yourself. But I think a lot of times, because these people are experts, when we walk in the room, we sit down, we believe to be an expert because we need some help. We need some attention. But that doesn't mean to like discard your instinct, your gut feelings, and things that are going on in your body. For some reason, I'm always right about what's going on inside my body. I don't know why, but I always get it right and I hit it on the head. And because even my PCP said that to me. And that's what made me say, okay, so don't ignore that next time. Because you keep ignoring that and then you let the expert sit in front of you and talk you down. And then it, never gets addressed to all these things. So I would say, especially if you're anything like me and you get anxiety around medical stuff and stuff like that, just don't back down if it's about your health, don't back down. Because it is a whole thing where people are being disregarded and all these things. So just if you feel like it's something that you want addressed, then you make sure they address that. And if they don't address it, go find somebody else who will. There's always someone else who will help you. And I'm sorry if it takes a long time to find them. And I'm sorry if you got to kiss a lot of frogs before you get there. But take a day, take 2, then bring it back and go on. If you deserve to feel, supported and uplifted, especially when you're going through something medical. And when I finally got there, it was like night and day. I said, oh, this is what it's like to have a real doctor and a team and an OBGYN, and we all deserve that. That's what they get paid for. We all deserve that. So I know it can be stressful. It is one of the most stressful things because you can't do it yourself. You can't fix it yourself. And it is a hard thing to cope with. That's fine. Feel the feelings. Feel that. That is absolute truth. So if you feel that way, it's true. And pull yourself back together when you can, and then go out there and find somebody else who can help you.
Advocate for yourself. And that's across the board. That's pregnancy. That's any.
Yeah, because you know it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That man told me to go look up, go Google.
He told you to Google it.
He told me to Google.
My God. I'm glad you said he retired.
Oh, yeah, he retired. Wow, what a powerful story, Shonda. And we have our beautiful Teagan here.
Yeah.
That gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, man. She's something else, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that, girl.
Well, we thank you. We hope we helped someone. As always, reach out to us. I'm on Instagram at better3701.
And I am at Hey Shonda Head on Instagram and Threads. You can also find the podcast on the Everything Has Changed podcast on Instagram.
Thank you for listening.
Thank y'all. Bye.
Want to stay locked in with us so you never miss an episode? Visit everythinghaschangedpodcast.com and join our email list. That way you'll be the first to know about new episodes and all the fun stuff we have coming your way. Meet us over there.